Meeting called to order at 7:04 p.m. for the regularly scheduled Southfield Board of Education meeting. This is a meeting of the Southfield Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered as a community meeting. There is an opportunity for public participation during the meeting, and comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. The board will listen to comments but may not respond during the meeting. Roll call. Charles Hicks, Board President.
Daryl B. Joyce, Vice President.
Betty Robinson, Treasurer.
Yolanda Charles, Trustee.
Good evening, Trustee Rice.
I think Trustee Poole's trying to chime in. Dr. Green?
Jennifer Green, Superintendent of Southfield Public Schools. Minutes being taken by Ms. Laura Norris, and various members of the executive team are on as panelists as well.
So we can all say the Pledge of Allegiance. This is going to be interesting. I think it's kind of awkward, but I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Board matters. I first like to give a thank you. We have several members of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated who work for the districts, including, I'm not sure if he's Batman or Robin, Mr. Aaron Marshall. Reason why I bring this up, because as Dr. Green mentioned in her superintendent's evaluation, there were many men of Alpha who consistently give to our community, whether it be through educators, administrators, even through volunteer efforts in helping with the food distribution and a variety of other activities. We know that one of the major principles of Alpha is service, and we do appreciate all that you've done and all that you will continue to do in supporting our district. So again, thank you. Any other board matters from trustees?
I do, Board President. Good evening. I must have missed the introductions. This is Leslie Love Smith Thomas, Board Secretary, and good evening, everyone. And apparently Lauren Thomas now. She's singing her alphabet, so she's learning. Okay, so I attended this past weekend the MASB CBA weekend. I attended 8 courses. The courses were all around data and data-driven decision-making, understanding assessments, reporting and monitoring, and also creating a data dashboard. And so that's something I would like to talk more about. I also attended the Michigan Association of Superintendents and Administrators, where our very own superintendent was a panelist, and it was very, I learned a lot because, of course, the topic and the focus was on women and women in leadership, but it was very refreshing to, I felt very proud to be working in partnership with her and for her to be representing the school district. I will also say that in many of the endeavors, especially since I am an educator and attend many workshops and professional development and professional learning opportunities for myself, at least at some point during that session, either Dr. Green or Southfield Public Schools is represented. I kid you not. I'm so honest about that. I'm being so truthful about that. And I always feel very proud because this is my 6th year on the board, and I can honestly say that our community reputation has never been better in my time. And so I'm very proud about that. That pretty much wherever we go, wherever I've gone, Southfield Public Schools has been mentioned in a positive light. what I am also hoping we can talk about, particularly with Trustee Yolanda Smith Charles, is revisiting, focusing our agenda to align to our strategic plan. Not to suggest that it is not. One of the efforts that Yolanda would always talk about is having the areas of the strategic plan identified, and the district goals identified on the agenda. And I think that was particularly helpful at that time. And that was something that was mentioned during the CBA courses I took this weekend, because it just helps to keep the community and the board trustees thinking about how we're meeting our goals, our district goals, and accomplishing them throughout the school year, so that when it is referenced at the end of the year for the evaluation, for instance, we have gotten monthly reminders and we've visually seen it. And so we can easily connect to, okay, this is what the work has been so far and how it's progressed towards that work. So I would like to suggest that we add that to an upcoming either agenda for a study session or our board retreat. Also, something that was suggested and talked about was a board procedures manual and guide, which I've mentioned before in a previous meeting. That was something that was suggested. Apparently, MASB will come in and assist with developing that. I think it's something that we really need to move towards, especially as we venture into having a new team, so that we just have a refreshed and renewed set of kind of procedures. How do we want to proceed, and how do we want to be represented, and what do we want to hold ourselves accountable to as a board and as a governing body as we move forward and continue to work to move the district forward. And then, of course, I already mentioned about a data dashboard and looking at that. I did ask at a previous meeting about the assessment calendar. And so now I'm going to make that ask again, but this time with a little bit more, I would say, expectation for consideration, that information be provided in terms of what is our assessment calendar for the school year, and at the district level also, and wondering if that assessment calendar is available on our website, along with tips for our parents. And I've mentioned this over the years, just having just a quick tip, one page guide with tips for how parents can assist students with preparing for those assessments, especially since we're in this COVID space where parents are really doing a lot more at home to prepare the students for the test. Not take the test for them. Parents, don't take the test for them. But of course, that's a joke, because, I'm a teacher and I kind of have to say, parents, okay, you've done this much, now go ahead in the other room so they can take the test. But obviously, we want to make sure that the parents are very much educated and informed on how to prepare the students for that, and then having a calendar of the dates so that they can plan in advance. And then lastly, on November 18th, I attended the Parent Advisory Committee meeting, and we worked in breakout sessions. And one of the sessions, the session I participated in, we discussed in great detail, and this would be a space that I asked through the board chair to the superintendent, that there be more conversation about, with Dr. Freeman, of course, about increasing the parent participation and representation for parents of students with IFSPs. And what that is, that's something like what I have with baby girl. It's the individualized family service plan. So that's when the children are younger, before they get an IEP. And so I know for myself, it was a huge struggle. I'm resourceful, I'm educated, but in that first month or two, I was out there, I didn't know how to build that network of support. And so in that breakout session, we talked about that the parents who are currently a part of the Parent Advisory Committee would love the opportunity to kind of help mentor and guide the kind of the newbie parents, for instance, because there is a partnership that links the students as they transition into having an IEP and continue into the district, but just a slight disconnect with the parents in terms of making sure that they understand that the PAC exists and that that's a group and a network of support. So I am asking, that is another ask that I am making, again, through the chair to the superintendent, to Dr. Freeman, that be a focus area to support in however that looks. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Board President, if I may. You were on mute, sir. I couldn't hear you. Is that
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry.
permission?
Please proceed. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So we did send a number of tips to our families relative to assessments. We sent them by way of the teachers. We also did a number of parent forums for the individual schools regarding how to do the virtual assessments this fall, recognizing that they were completely different from the traditional method in which we did assessments. And we should have that calendar on our website because it wasn't released until the latter portion of August, the beginning of September. So if you're not readily seeing it on the assessment on the website, we will make sure that it is placed somewhere that is readily available, because I've received 5 text messages just during the time you were presenting that it is on the website by members of our team, including our assessment coordinators. So we want to make sure that everyone is able to locate that document and that it's readily available. But we are having a number of forums throughout the year with tips for our families on how to best leverage assessments during the virtual space. And then also regarding your other question, we are working on a PAC directory to allow new parents to connect with more experience. The team is on it.
Other trustees, board matters.
Thank you. See why she was on the panel?
Yeah. Thank you, Board President.
No problem.
I too attended our weekend of workshops this weekend, and the 2 that I honed in on, and I'm happy to say, finally got this last data CBA checked off. It was the last class on the last day. But God, right? So needless to say, I'm excited. I just wanted to point out a couple of things that I took away from it, which is the first CBA was about consensus building. Certainly, I knew that was going to be something we were going to need to utilize for our superintendent evaluation, and at least we have in the past and moving forward. But they talked about consensus building when it comes to, let's say you want to build a building, or you want to, there's a hot button issue with your athletics or things like that, and you want a consensus build with the greater community. Some of the takeaways that I want to make sure to mention were that talk to kids if kids are involved. I think we do a pretty good job of that here in Southfield Public Schools. We want to ask ourselves, what are they really saying? Taking out the reading between the lines. I think that's important. And I think the most almost life-changing paradigm shift for me, and I'll take this with me into the rest of my life, is this term called positive presupposition. It's really fun to say, but it's a positive presupposition, where they gave an example, like a car speeds past you on the highway, and it's real quick to be, I'll say, hating on whoever that was. Like, who do you think you are? I think it was Charles Hicks a couple times. And they want you to change your paradigm and think about it like, wow, they must really have to use the restroom, or, wow, there must be something really important that they're heading to. So utilizing that when we attend board meetings, to think of that in a positive presuppositions. So not assuming your colleagues or staff are coming from a negative space. The second thing and last thing was, like I said, CBA for data. I'm going to kill my camera real quick because I'm hearing the fan. But they talked about IDEX and Munetrics. And I know that we've over the years discussed both of them. IDEX had some impacts for a year or so where they were free. But now it looks like there are some, it's not free, but that there are tools there that we can utilize for our internal and external dashboard. And then my last comment is, I think there are about 9 of us on the call, which probably spells out why they have to cancel the class all the time, because 9 people on virtual is like 2 people in real life. And so what I kind of wanted to take away from that was just how when you are putting together a dashboard moving forward, that sometimes it doesn't have to be external. It could be just for the board. And then lastly, along those same lines with the dashboard, is it doesn't have to be a lot of bells and whistles and things of that nature. So just finding ways to be able to see that data in a way that's accessible to staff. And I believe that was the last of it. Thank you very much.
Any other board matters from trustees? Hearing none, Dr. Green, I turn it over to you for the report of the superintendent.
My apologies for being muted. Thank you, Board President. Legislative update. So there is a lot of controversy relative to the Open Meetings Act and January's interpretation of what this new law may be. They are strongly encouraging everyone to reach out to our legislature to advocate for the continuation of the virtual meetings throughout the end of the 2021 year, given that there is still so much uncertainty relative to the global pandemic. However, if nothing happens within the next couple weeks, beginning in January, trustees would be afforded an opportunity to remote into the meeting, but they would have to state why they were remoting into the meeting, and they would also have to indicate where they are physically located while attending the meeting. So for example, it would be that you are attending virtually for health reasons related to the global pandemic, and that you are remoting in from Southfield, Michigan. All of those things would have to be documented in the minutes for compliance sake. Also, we are coming upon a lame duck session. I sent you a number of bills recently that may come up in lame duck session, none of which really caused me concern or caused me to pause relative to what impact it may have on school districts. However, we are actively engaging those at the federal level to send the relief dollars directly to the school districts, the local education agencies, and not that of the state agencies. What has happened in the past is the state agencies have taken a portion of those funds to set aside for their own projects, and the local school districts have not had access to those direct dollars. And we know, based on what we've seen this team do, based on the development and build out of our wellness rooms, that those dollars can be very much needed at the local level and well spent at the local level. So we're working with our federal legislature, our Congress, and our senators. I have a meeting scheduled within the next week with Congresswoman Lawrence, and also scheduling one with Senator Peters to discuss these very matters. So stay tuned for that. And I will keep you updated as things constantly change at the local, state, and federal level with this new administration coming in. Next on the agenda, we have School Advance. That is the administrator's evaluation tool. And Ms. Pam English is going to share our updates with you this evening. Ms. English?
Good evening, Dr. Green, to our board president and our trustees, and to our community. Thank you this evening for allowing me a moment to share with you our new administrative tool in the district. Laura Norris, if you could assist me, please, with the PowerPoint. Thank you. So this fall, we've introduced the School Advance administrator tool. This is what we're going to be using in the district for administrator evaluation. We have received training beginning this fall through the Michigan Association of Superintendents and Administrators. Mesa. And that training took place on November 13th and 15th. Unlike some of the other evaluative tools, the School Advanced Administrator tool is not a tool where it's a train-the-trainer. It's a tool where everyone, either of those who are evaluating or those who are being evaluated, have to be trained on the tool. And so our administrators in the district have had an opportunity to be trained on November 13th and 15th by representatives from Mesa. And we're going to also have continuing training in January and beyond, if necessary, for other administrators in the district. And this provides us a rubric for our district administrators, our building administrators, and our non-instructional administrators in the district. Next slide. So we have self-assessment meetings that happen initially at the beginning of this process. So there are growth plans that administrators share with their staff. Staff are able to develop do some self-reflecting and some self-assessment on how they want to build their leadership capacity within their role. They fill out that, complete that administrative growth plan, and then conversation is had with their immediate supervisor around those goals that they've identified for the year, and they have those meetings. So those meetings are taking place actually now. They began on November 30th, and we hope to complete those before we leave for the break. And so we have an opportunity to have conversation, to discuss those goals, make adjustments as needed. It is a live document, so as we go throughout the year, if we need to make changes or adjustments as needed, we will have those conversations and do so. Next slide. Thank you. And then our observation period, the focus of really this tool, and this is our first year, so our focus is really on that observation and feedback. You know, we believe that in any position that you hold within the district, there should be some opportunity for observation of your work, and then also opportunity to talk about how you progress through your work, through your practical experience, providing that feedback, whether it's good feedback or feedback for growth. All of us have room to grow in some area. And so we develop those goals, and then we work towards those goals throughout the year, providing evidence. And so between January 4th and May 7th, there'll be opportunities for supervisors to have conversations and meetings with their immediate staff, maybe some observations of maybe some meetings that they're leading, some PD that they're facilitating. All of the things that we do within our roles can be observed, and then some conversation can be had related to how we want to enhance our leadership capacity in those areas. We will also collect artifacts. So how will we show that evidence? How will we measure our growth this year? Have those conversations around what those evidences can be, and have those conversations. I've already started conversations with many of the principals in the district, and something that this also allows me to do is also to hear about those areas where professional learning can be provided for administrators. So as I have those conversations and I hear a trend of some things or some other ways that we can support and help to build our leadership capacity, I use those meetings to then identify some professional learning that can be provided for all of our administrators to help them grow in various areas within their leadership. Next slide. And so then at the end of the year, similar to the teacher evaluation, there is a summative meeting and a summative evaluation where the supervisor and the staff member will get together. They will talk about the things that have happened over the course of the year. They will talk about those evidences and those artifacts that they will make available to talk about how those things help to show and demonstrate growth, how they help to measure where an administrator started in progression towards their goals, and then where they end. So they'll have those conversations. Of course, there are scores and things that are tied to that, but for our purposes here in the district, and because this is a new tool that we're all learning how to use, our focus is really on providing meaningful feedback this year, just as it relates to our leadership and development in the district. And so that's where we really want to focus on with this tool, is how we grow our leadership, how we are able to translate our leadership into those that we lead, building their capacity to lead as well in their respective areas. And so that is our focus for this year as we work to build our leaders in the district. Next slide. And that is really kind of an overview, quick overview of the tool. Again, it is our first year using this tool, so we're really going to take some time to understand the tool. The training that was provided by MESA was very detailed, very valuable, and our administrators were extremely engaged in that PD. And so we're going to take that. They provided us a wealth of resources and things that we can do as we learn to use this tool throughout the year. And so that is going to be our evaluator tool for administrators moving forward. Thank you. Are there any questions about that tool? Hearing none. Thank you so much thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. English. It's also important to note that once individuals proceed with the training and are successful in the training, their name goes to the Michigan Department of Education and will be listed on the website. Therefore, people cannot tell you that they engaged in the training and did not fully participate in the training. So it's definitely something to have your name posted on the department's website for full participation. Next on the agenda, we have a report on our new district app, which will be downloaded, I know, from the App Store, because I'm an Apple person, but I'm not sure what the Android version of that is. So for those of you that have Droids, you can help me out in that regard. Ms. Anika Corbett, please share.
Good evening, board, Dr. Green, community. A recent study reveals that cell phone users check their phones 160 times every day. That is once every 9 minutes. So as the communication director, I am always looking for ways to improve communication and increase engagement with busy students and parents on the go. Southfield Public Schools is excited to announce the launch of the district's new mobile app to provide parents, students, staff, and community members with access to all the information about the school district in one convenient location right there at your fingertips. Next slide, please. With this amazing app, the user will have access to important notifications such as school closings, district, school, and athletic calendars, the news feed, MyStar student and parent portal, as well as the social media channels and much more. Families are able to customize what information they want to see, and there's also a feature where users can select a language preference and translated messages will be shown in the app. Next slide, please. Let's take a quick look at some of the app's features. On the left is a screenshot of district news. If the user does not have a smartphone and the feature is enabled, this information can be emailed or texted instead. In the middle is a screenshot of a calendar event listing. And on the right is one of my favorite features. It is the digital hall pass. When a student downloads the app on their cell phone, their teacher can provide a hall pass for them to go to their locker, to the wellness center, to the restroom, just to name a few. In this example, this pass shows that Trevor has 4 minutes and 54 seconds remaining to get to his locker and back to class. Next slide, please. How do you get the app? I am glad you asked. Currently, the web version is available now. Publishing in the Apple Store as well as Google Play is slated for later this week. So please be sure to look at an announcement in the district update and also on our social media channels. I thank you for your time and attention. Are there any questions?
No, thank you. I'm excited. This is one thing that I've been asking for a while. So I'm glad to see it actually come to fruition. Thanks.
Thank Great job, Ms. Corbett. No other questions? Okay, moving on to our next presentation, we have our Director of Head Start, Ms. Janice Hill, and I believe we also have Dr. Sharice Ferris, who will provide the Head Start financial report. So ladies, if you could please join us.
Just download that. It's kind of cool.
You may need to move up, Director Hill, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you. as well as Dr. Ferris. Okay, I see Dr. Ferris moved up. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Dr. Green. It's Dr. Ferris. I wasn't sure if the director's report was up. Are we going in that order? And I apologize for being on my phone. It's just not connecting on my computer, so I apologize for that. But I just don't see the director's
Yes, we're going
report.
in the order of, we'll go the director report first and then the financial. So Ms. Norris, if you could please put up the director's report. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Director Hill, if you are on the line, welcome.
Good evening and thank you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, board members, superintendent, cabinet, and community. The director's report for November 2020. Our enrollment for early Head Start is 14 out of 16, Head Start 81 out of 128, and GSRP 64 out of 78. We had 3 children to drop from Head Start and 2 from GSRP. Families just requested that they needed in-person and they were unable to stay at the virtual platform at this time. For Child Adult Care Food Program for the month of November, we did not provide food through CACFP. However, families were able to get food from Forgotten Harvest, which is available on the first and third Friday for all of our families. The program is still providing diapers, pull-ups, wipes, and formula for our early Head Start families. For our compliances, children receiving support services, those who have been identified with an individual education plan, we have 6 out of 14. Head Start does require that 10% of your funded enrollment be serviced for children who have disabilities. However, as a result of the COVID, programs can apply for a disability waiver. Vision, hearing, and dental. For vision, we are looking probably about 7 out of 81 of our children that have their vision screenings, approximately 9 for hearing, and for dental, approximately 8. We are still encouraging, as Head Start is encouraging programs to continue to follow up with families regarding their screenings and provide any referrals as needed. Our families have been provided with letters regarding their child's vision, hearing, and dental screenings, and they have been encouraged to make appointments with their child's physician. However, the program has partnerships with Oakland County Health Department, Kids Project Site, as well as Dentist Are Us. So service will be provided to all families once we return face-to-face. We have 1 vacancy, our secretary and clerk, and we will look at filling that vacancy once we return to the building. Information to share. 10 families received Thanksgiving baskets for the holiday. All staff donated various items. All families received a $25 gift card to purchase a turkey or a ham. Our Head Start program has been assigned a new program specialist. Mr. John Fallon has been replaced by Ms. Katrina Neal. Ms. Neal was the program specialist for Southfield Public Schools during 2007 and 2010. Our families received their second virtual kit of supplies during the week of November the 16th. In addition to a new kit, as a result of a survey requesting additional options for families to connect with teachers virtually, the daily schedule has been revised to allow for additional time for families and children to engage with their classroom teachers. The new schedule will go into effect in January 2021. Plans are underway to host a virtual kindergarten crawl. The principals and the district will showcase their schools. Families will have an opportunity to ask questions and learn about how to best prepare their child for his or her transition to kindergarten. The virtual crawl is scheduled for February 2021. Just to provide some self-assessment updates, the grantee did not have a clear understanding of the expectations of the kindergarten readiness assessments of the receiving schools. So a meeting is scheduled for January for collaboration with kindergarten and Head Start teaching staff. The program did not use an entry assessment tool for children transitioning from Head Start into kindergarten. As a result of the pandemic, we are unable to use the Bergantz assessment. However, we will continue to assess children using the ASQ, ages and stages. Our lesson plans are also specific school readiness goals. The grantee did not ensure that sufficient mental health supports were in place to support children and families to meet their mental health and social and emotional needs. Program works closely with a contractual mental health consultant, and the IRSIA enrollment procedures did not meet Head Start program performance standards. Our enrollment procedures were revised to align with the Head Start performance standards. Upcoming virtual family engagement events. Tomorrow, Wednesday, December 7th, we are having yoga for the family from 10 to 11. And on Wednesday, December the 14th, we are having a cooking activity. We're making cookies with mom and dad from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. That does conclude my report. Are there any questions? Thank you very much.
Board President, I don't have any questions. I do want to applaud because I wrote down kindergarten transition and you spoke right directly to it. So I'm glad to hear that that is being planned out, and I'm looking forward to hearing how that turns out.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Hill, you mentioned that your Head Start enrollment was 81 out of 120. How does that affect your grant dollars? And how long will you be able to maintain that status with Office of Head Start?
So Head Start has given us flexibility with our enrollment. So for this program year, we will be held harmless. They want us to service as many children and families as we possibly can, but they understand during this pandemic that there are some families that are fearful for enrolling, to enroll their children in the program. So at this time, we will receive our full funding. I'm not sure what's going to happen the next program year. That will, of course, be reviewed as a result of, the situation with the pandemic.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Trustees, any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Dr. Ferris?
Damn.
We can hear you, ma'am.
I know it was a delay. My apologies. Good evening again, Board President, trustees of the board, Superintendent Dr. Green, Southfield Public School staff, and community members. I will be providing with you all an update on our Head Start financial operating budget. For fiscal year 2021, we have an operating budget this year of $2,306,900. $1,400,878 of these dollars are from our Head Start and COLA. With Head Start, ultimately the expenditures look more like our salaries, supplies and materials for students and administrative staff, along with maintenance support throughout the district. We also have our Head Start budget with similar expenditures to the regular Head Start in the amount of $285,126. We have our training and technical assistance grant in amount of $21,000. This grant focuses exclusively on professional development training for the administrators and support and teaching staff of our Head Start programs. We also have a one-time COVID award in the amount of $126,548. This grant funding supports all of the personal protection equipment that has been funded for the program, and additional supplies and materials, anything to support the virtual and on brick and mortar learning for the year. And we also have our quality improvement grant in the amount of $55,000, which also supports additional training and technical assistance and any type of programming that we found throughout our needs assessment that's needed for our program to establish an even higher quality rating. The overall amount of our actual grant funding is $1,888,552. To date, through the month of November, we have spent a total of $485,479.30, which represents about 25.7% of the budget, with 74.3% remaining. We also have a commitment to provide an in-kind amount for these grant funds in the amount of $418,348. Again, as Director Hill referenced earlier, the Office of Head Start is aware of the challenges that we're facing with the pandemic. Normally, some of the in-kind would involve a lot of parent participation, community members that we have relationships with to come on site. But because of the pandemic, they're aware, so we are anticipating a waiver for this year. We had one last year that was approved, and we're anticipating one this year. However, to date, we have about $55,011.80 of in-kind that we're able to report, which represents about 13.1%, remaining 86.9%. With a grand total, again, of our overall operating costs of $2,306,900, we spent including our in-kind, we have expended $540,491.10, which represents overall a 23.4% spending with a remaining of 76.6. We do have a number of expenditures that are still remaining out there in what we call encumbered. That means that a expenditure request has been requested, but we're waiting for it to go through the entire process of being completely expended out. So we have an amount of $15,532.56 against our Head Start grant and our COVID one-time in the amount of $6,693 with a total amount of $22,225.56. So it is the expectation that these reference expenditures would have completed the process by the time we have our next reporting. Do we have any questions?
Brick and mortar and supplies. Why do you list that in your in your finances? Because that's normally provided by the district.
I'm sorry, Trustee Robinson, I missed the first part.
You mentioned brick and mortar and supplies in your budget, and I wanted to know why you list that as such, because those things are included and provided to you by the district.
If we were to encounter any type of shortfall, the district is always remain available and accessible to help the Head Start program. But I referenced it because oftentimes when we talk about the CARES money, many times people think that it's just for virtual needs. So I made it clear that in the event that we do return back brick and mortar in person, that we can still utilize that funding. It's not just for virtual kids, it's for both. It's for in person or virtual. So I wanted to make sure I made that clear, that funding is regardless of how our function will be this year in terms of in person or out of person, that funding will still be available to us. That completes my report.
Questions, Board President? I wasn't sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, less a question and more of a comment, which is, Head Start is very important to me. And I just really would love to see, first off, the board members all receive the meeting invite information. And then the second just observation is that few board members are showing up. So if you guys, through scheduling or what have you, could maintain a presence there, because it follows us with finances, but also gives us an opportunity to really know what's going on at the ground floor for that particular grant program.
Any other questions or comment, trustees?
Yes, I have a question, Board President, and this is open to the entire board. Who are the two representatives for Head Start currently?
There is no real bona fide liaison. It was basically just who had the time in their schedule.
Okay, so yes, thank you, Trustee Charles, for bringing that up, because I would love to have notice of those meetings.
Any other question or comment, trustees? Hearing none, thank you, Dr. Ferris and Dr. Green.
Thank you, Board President. Next on the agenda, we will have Mr. Lake and Mr. Patton as they will share the updates with our Return to Learn plan.
Board President,
Ma'am.
sorry, I was late chiming in. I too would like to receive those invites.
Absolutely. We are
Board
going to
President,
get them.
relative to
Ma'am.
the invites, we will ensure that everyone receives those invites. However, we do need to coordinate attendance as 4 or more trustees assembled. It would be considered a quorum and be subject to the Open Meetings Act.
Definitely noted
Thank you.
and agree. Mr. Lake, Mr. Patton.
All right, good evening, good evening, board and Dr. Green. This will be a very short presentation on our Return to Learn plan. Our reentry plan you received this last month, but we made a slight change to the timeline. And so we can go to the next slide. So in the previous plan, we still have our phases. However, we looked at the phases and we looked to see, and we're still going to be in school. Well, we're going to be virtual until January 22nd, and so that's what we have in place so far. But we still have our phases, and we want to make sure that we're able, in the event we do have to, if we're mandated to go back, that we can pivot easily and do it in a way where the groups are we're able to do that well. So we made some changes to the grade bands, and so as you can see, the phase 1, we have grades K2, where we did have K1. We're also bringing BUSSY and KLC. We also have phase 2, which is going to be grades 3-5, phase 3, grades 6 through 8, and grades 9 through 12 in phase 4. You can go to the next slide. And so this is just another graphic just to express that. Just looking at the different phases that we're going to go. We did make those changes. As you can see, we had 4 weeks in there, but now we have weeks 1 through 3 for the phase 1. Phase 2, we have weeks 3 through 5. Phase 3, we have weeks 5 through 7. And phase 4, we have weeks 7 through 9. And then this last slide I'm going to show you is just going to show you how we've kind of condensed it into 3-week phases instead of 4-week phases. And as you can see, we're still going to survey the parents. We're still going to get the realignment with the staffing and the students. We're still going to get the realignment with the staffing and students. We're going to have the K1 return in that week. And then as you can see, the phases follows as necessary. And so we thought that this would be a better plan where we can actually, pivot easy to do these weeks. And this seems like something that we can effectively do. Harry, did you want to, this is the end of this presentation. Harry, did you want to add anything?
I just want to say,
thank
you, Mr. Lake. Just want to say in terms of surveying the families, that is important to do between each phase to make sure that the data is correct. So that this type of surveying is saying that if we get to this point, we would need that hard data knowing who would want which type of educational setting, so that we would know where to place the students and what type of setting they will be in. That is not just an overall survey to say, what would you like to do as a full community? It would be for each phase. And so that survey implemented would say that we are going back, and then if we are going back, what would be your choice? So I just wanted to clarify the difference. So those are specific surveys for those specific cohorts so that we can have that hard data to make the relative decisions for the student's educational setting.
All right, thank you. No, that's the end of that presentation. Thank you.
Trustees, do you have any questions for Mr. Lake or Mr. Patton? Hearing none, thank you, gentlemen.
before they leave the screen, I would like to acknowledge Mr. Patton. The team is extremely humble, but Mr. Patton was recently acknowledged by the Detroit Lions as the Educator of the Month for the great work that he's doing, covering both the virtual principal capacity as well as teaching some classes, serving as a pseudo mentor and pseudo counselor along the way. So Mr. Patton, thank you for all that you do on behalf of the Southfield Public School District.
Well done, and thank you, sir. We appreciate you. All right, Dr. Green.
Board President, I'd just like to make a note that this will come up for action this later in the agenda, as it is part of our monthly obligation to the Michigan Department of Education. But I did want the gentleman to have an opportunity to speak with you first under the superintendent's agenda, although it was not listed. So next on the superintendent's report would be that of finances and Mr. Mark Ingram.
Good evening. Good evening, community, board, EDM. Laura, do you have the financial report?
Yes, bear with me one moment.
Board President, I have a question for the superintendent.
Yes, ma'am.
As it relates to return to learn plan. I just want to understand, so is it the recommendation that we do return back to the hybrid option January 22nd, or that we return back if conditions allow?
At this point, the request of the board is that if conditions allow, which is what we already recommended and you approved, we would return on January 25th, again, contingent upon the health conditions. The request this evening is simply to say, if the health conditions are such that we can bring our children back, that we bring them back in shorter intervals to assist us all getting back in the classroom. We recognize that the best instruction is face-to-face instruction, and we want to get our children back in the classrooms. Instead of prolonging that process, we are looking to truncate that timeline and get them back in the brick and mortar as quickly as possible. So at this point, everything is still contingent upon health conditions. We are simply asking that if we are able to come back, you allow us to do that at a more rapid pace.
Okay, so this is just in addition to the most recent plan approved. Okay, thank you.
Correct. Okay, thank you. Mr. Ingram, I think you're all set.
Good evening, community, board, Dr. Green, EDN. I want to stress that all the numbers you are about to see are unaudited. Laura, let's go down to row 38, column E, please. For the general fund, our current year operating results are approximately $2 million. Let's move to the food service tab, Laura. Let's go down to row 27, column E, current year operating results, deficit of $275,000. Let's move to student activities, row 18, column F, current year operating results, a negative $26,000. Next to debt, row 21, column F, current year operating results, $1.8 million. Next to capital projects, row 19, column D, current year operating results, negative $11,000. Building and site fund, row 35, column D, current year operating results, deficit of $651,000. Next, we have seeking fund, row 20, column E, Current year operating results, 181,000. Next, let's move to the general fund building budgets. We go down, Laura. You'll see we have spent about 77, spent and encumbered about 77,000, have about 477,000 remaining in the school budgets. Next slide, Laura, capital projects. This is just an overview of our year-to-date spend in our various capital projects. Next, we have grants. Here, you'll see our year-to-date spend and encumbrance by grant. And finally, on the last tab, credit card, these are our credit card transactions since our last meeting. Any questions that I can answer this evening?
This meeting is being recorded.
Have a nice evening.
Can he explain the negative and the deficit in the first two presentations?
Which
The first one you mentioned was a negative. I think like column 38 or something, or 37. But you went so fast you didn't tell what the negative were, nor the deficits.
Okay, on the general fund tab?
No, prior to that. The first and second two slides that you presented.
The general fund was the first slide.
Okay. You had a negative and you had a deficit. Could you explain those?
All right, so in column 38, row 38, column D, that's the adopted budget. We adopted we adopted a deficit, annual deficit of 10.2 million. Then column E, you'll see our current year operating results through November of 2 million.
So what does the 10.2 million consist of? Do you know?
So Mark, I think it's important to note that when you use the term deficit, that's the accountant term in you, and that the board adopted a budget that said we were going to use a certain portion of our fund balance, and we've not used that amount of our fund balance to date. So when you use the term deficit, it means that we're using some of our fund balance, but we're not using the amount that the board originally adopted.
And the negative was what? He mentioned also negative. What area was that in?
Do you remember? The 10.10 million? The 10.2 million?
Yes.
So we're saying that we're using 10.2 million of our fund balance this year, mainly related to PPE. You can see we were projecting to spend about 10 million in PPE. We assumed all our positions would be fully funded, no vacancies. Soon we would have majority of our transportation services, assuming full sub costs, assuming full security, unsure of our state aid at the time. All of that resulted in using about 10.2 million of our fund balance.
Thank you, Mark. It's important to note that we are not going to be using 10.2 million of our fund equity because we don't have transportation operating for the full year. We don't have a security team on staff right now for the buildings as we're in the midst of a global pandemic. We still have our police officers in our buildings. So there are some other factors that will be brought before you when we do our budget amendment, and Plant Moran will speak to where we are fiscally. We are still fiscally sound because we have made the necessary provisions in modifying and leveraging the force majeure clauses to ensure that we stay within budget. Right now, he's presenting on what was adopted for the beginning of this fiscal year, assuming that we were going to have a reduction in our fund balance, assuming that we were going to have a reduction in our state aid payment, assuming that we were going to be back face to face and have transportation and all of those other things built in. All of these numbers will change with our budget amendment as we now know what our figures are, but we cannot change these figures at will because these are the numbers that the board adopted for this fiscal year.
Any,
Board President.
I actually have to, I hear Trustee Rice. I think Trustee Poole is trying to say something that's not coming in too clearly.
Michael, you're garbled. We can't hear you.
Trustee Rice, please proceed.
Yeah, so my inquiry is just, do we have a meeting on the schedule to do a budget amendment? I know Dr. Green mentioned it as part of her superintendent evaluation presentation, and we're getting into that discussion here. So I guess my ask or my inquiry is, do we have a budget amendment agenda item on our up and coming agenda?
Board President, if I may, Plant Moran will be coming out to speak with the trustees at the first meeting in January as they just completed the audit of our fiscal year 20 finances. And after you are presented with all of that information and are satisfied with the results of our auditors, then we will have that amendment shortly thereafter.
So in January, okay.
Well, shortly thereafter. So depending on how soon you're satisfied with their results, then it could either be the end of January or it could be the first meeting in February.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll just note, Board President, my concern will be continuing to carry what we have now until then.
Okay.
If I'm understandable there.
No, yeah, I understand. Right.
Okay.
Definitely noted.
Yep.
Trustee Poole, I'm sorry. You were trying to say something, sir? We may need you to call in, Trustee Poole. Are there any other questions on the financial update in the interim from any of the trustees? If not, I think we should maybe move on to action items till he gets on the line, and we'll come back to his question. So moving on to action items, the chair will entertain a motion to open and approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
It's been properly moved and seconded to open and approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions and or corrections to any of the minutes listed on the agenda? Hearing none. Board Secretary, please call for the vote.
Trustee Robinson? I didn't hear her.
Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Trustee Joyce?
Yes.
Trustee Charles?
Yes.
Trustee Rice?
Yes.
Trustee Poole?
hear him. Board President, did you hear him? Yes. Myself, yes. Trustee Hicks,
Yes.
unanimous.
Motion carried. The chair will entertain a motion to open and approve Report 5927, Talent Management Personnel Action Report.
Support.
It's been properly moved and seconded to open and approve Report 5927. Any questions, trustees?
Board President, before the trustees ask questions, if I may, allow the trustees to have an opportunity to meet the candidate for Director of Operations, Ms. Felicia Venable. She is on the call this evening. If you could advance her up to a panelist so that the trustees can have an opportunity to meet the young lady that we are recommending. She comes to us with over 20 years of experience. She is a member of our community, so therefore she's very much concerned with our physical plants and the well-being of Southfield Public Schools. She is coming to us most recently from the Farmington Public School District. Prior to her experience with schools, she did building inspections for the Department of Health and Human Services. So this is an excellent time for us to have someone onboarded that has experience in both the Health and Human Services area as well as the K-12 public school area. So if you would please advance Ms. Felicia Venable to meet the trustees of the Board of Education.
He's there.
Ms. Venable? I don't see her.
What position has she been hired for, Dr. Green?
Director of Operations.
Operations, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, I see her square, but I don't see her physically, so I'm not sure if her camera is on or it's.
I can see her.
It is Dr. Green. Good evening.
Okay, excellent.
Good evening, Dr.
Welcome.
Green, Superintendent Green. Good evening, members of the board.
There she is. Good evening, Ms. Venable. Thank you for joining us this evening. Just wanted our trustees to have an opportunity to meet you virtually face to face and share your phenomenal background as they approach approving this talent management report.
Thank you, Dr. Green. I need to make one correction. I did not work for the Department of Health and Human Services. I did work for the Department of Health Inspector, a grant writer, and then a senior governmental analyst before joining.
Okay, I knew it was Department of Health. I apologize. I knew it was Department of Health, so I wanted. Okay.
It's okay. It's okay. And I was a health inspector during that time also. I had about 100 buildings in Detroit that I was responsible for inspecting with respect to food establishments during that. And so my most recent experience, as you mentioned, was with Farmington Public Schools as the director of its facilities management department. I spent 20 years with Detroit Public Schools as a director of environmental health and safety. And that morphed into executive director of auxiliary services and special projects. And then at one point, interim superintendent of operations, and as well as executive director of operations for Detroit Public Schools. And so I'm very excited. Thank you so much for having me this evening. Thank you for the recommendation. I am a citizen of Lathrop Village. My kids attend, I have school-age children that attend school locally here in Southfield. I'm excited about the opportunity. I know a little bit about the buildings. Southfield has also been a partner with Detroit Schools in the past, and so I've had an opportunity to walk some of the school buildings. We've received donations at some point, and so I'm really excited about the opportunity. And I am also from contractors that are currently working in the district.
Thank you, Ms. Venable.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And trustees, anything at this time?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Board President. This is Trustee Charles. I was just wanting to take a second to recognize line number 7 on the Talent Management Action Report. This is a woman who, I mean, I can't even believe she's eligible for retirement. I mean, she must have started teaching at 11 years of age, but I am honored to have served in her classroom as a sub teacher before. And, you know, like I said, item number 7, Ms. Biles, is truly, truly going to be missed. She's an amazing educator, and I'm sure she's going to go and do amazing things with the next phase of her career.
Thank you, Trustee Charles.
Thank you, Trustee Charles. We just received that notification. As I indicated in my most recent update, a lot of people are making decisions to transition at this time. It's most unfortunate.
Any other questions or comments, trustees?
No, I just thank and appreciate the introduction.
Agreed. Board Secretary, please call for the vote.
Okay. Trustee Poole?
Yes.
Trustee Rice?
Yes.
Trustee Charles?
Yes.
Trustee Joyce?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Hicks?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you. Welcome aboard, Ms. Venable.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Dr. Green.
Report 5928, Return to Learn Plan. The chair will entertain a motion to open and approve.
So moved.
It's been properly moved and seconded to open and approve Report 5928. Any questions or discussions, trustees? Hearing none, please call for the vote, Board Secretary.
Trustee Robinson?
Hold on.
For point of order, could you just repeat the name of this motion, please?
It's the Return to Learn Plan, Report 5928.
Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Robinson, if you could unmute yourself. I saw your lips move, but
Okay, unmute.
I
You still
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Okay, can you repeat your yes, please, for the record?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Hicks?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Trustee Joyce?
Yes.
Trustee Charles? Trustee Charles?
Yes.
Trustee Rice?
Yes.
Trustee Poole? Unanimous.
Motion carried. The chair will entertain a motion to open and approve Report 5929, second read, revised policy.
I'd like to move to open Report 5929, the second read revised policy.
Support.
Moved and seconded to open and approve Report 5929. Any questions, trustees? Or comments?
No question. Just a comment here on a technical tip. Sometimes the video messes with the bandwidth, and I don't know if we want to institute this, but perhaps when it's time for us to do the roll call vote, maybe we turn our cameras off. I think it would help with hearing the votes come through.
I would agree with you from a technological perspective, but I believe part of the OMA requires the public to see us and hear us, or at least see us, as we can. But if I defer to legal if that still applies or not.
Yes, because it is hard to hear you, Board President.
Yeah, if all of the executive team could at least turn off their cameras, I think that that would help. And just the trustees be seen, because this is a meeting of the Board of Education, not of the executive team. So all executive team, please turn off your cameras to ensure that the full bandwidth is available.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
But what it is my other headset's battery was going down, so I had to switch to the plugged in one. So if you all if you all hear me getting bad when I'm on the other one, I'll switch over.
Can we still hear my?
Well, you have a lot of background on yours. That's why we keep muting.
Oh,
You.
Michael Poole. That's no background.
Well, no, you can't hear it, but we can hear it. Because as soon as I click on mute, did you all notice that go away?
It also says her name as speaking next to yours with a comma.
Right. So as soon as I unmute her, you're gonna hear background noise. Watch. You hear it? Okay. So the motion on the floor, are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, Board Secretary, please call for the vote.
Trustee Poole,
Yes.
Trustee Rice,
Yes.
Trustee Charles, did she drop
I
off?
think she stepped.
Okay,
Oh,
Trustee
she's
Joyce.
back. She's back. I see her.
Hi.
Okay.
Yes.
Trustee. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Trustee Joyce.
Yes.
Myself. Yes. Trustee Robinson
Yes.
and Trustee Hicks.
Yes.
Okay. Unanimous.
Motion carried. The chair will entertain a motion to open and approve Report 5930, Jewel Litigation Resolution.
Support.
It's been properly moved and seconded to open and approve Report 5930. Any questions or comments, trustees?
Can we get some information on this one, Board President?
Yeah, Dr. Green, did you want, or did you want me to give a high level?
You can give a high level and then I can fill in the gaps where needed. I believe Vice President has some experience with this as well.
Yeah, so what it is it's a civil suit that's being brought by many districts against
It's
Jewel.
Class action lawsuit.
Class action. I'm sorry, yeah, by a class action. What Jewel is that they provide those vaping.
Yes.
And so what the litigation is saying that the vaping byproduct has, because it was directly targeted and marketed towards young adults, has had an impact on students, learning abilities within the district and a variety of other issues. So what they're asking is if we would participate in this class action suit, because we have experience within our district some of the detriment of vaping within our district.
And the
Well
resolution
said.
is we are in support of.
We're in support. Well, if you also choose that we want to participate in this litigation, listing ourselves as a complainant against Jewel.
Correct.
Yep.
Thank you.
Trustee, any
district?
other questions? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Trustee Robinson.
Do we know that we've had students in this district who've had this problem?
Yes, ma'am.
We do?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
All the way down to our elementary schools.
Okay.
Any other questions? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Report, and you may have mentioned it, but is there some financial implication coming out of the district, like an expenditure, or we're joining up and we'll reap the benefits of a win?
So
I'll defer to you, Dr. Green, on that one.
yeah, the resolution is that we will commit a certain amount of hours as sort of an in-kind that our staff will be approved to spend time gathering documentation, and because we have legal counsel on our staff, that they would essentially represent us. So that would be our in-kind contribution to this litigation as it currently stands. We don't know of anything additional. If there are additional expenditures, we would bring it to the trustees.
Any other questions or comments? I'm sorry, I just cut somebody off. Okay, hearing no additional comment or question, Board Secretary, please call for the vote.
Trustee Joyce?
Yes.
Trustee Charles? Trustee Rice?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson? Trustee Robinson?
No.
Trustee Poole?
Well, can Trustee Robinson give her reason for no?
Oh, can you give your reason for no, please?
Well, I don't think we would greatly benefit from this if we don't have an insurmountable number of students who have had this problem. So I don't see us getting involved in this.
Okay, thank you. Board Secretary?
Trustee Poole? Trustee Poole? Okay, thank you. Self, yes. Trustee Hicks? Okay, 6 yes, 1 no.
Motion carried. Informational items, Dr. Green. Report card update.
Board President, unfortunately, we were not able to hold all of the focus groups that we committed to between the last board meeting and this time. So we asked that that item be tabled until the next agenda, because we are committed to hearing from our stakeholders prior to bringing that before you for an action item. So at this point, we're asking that that item be tabled.
Thank you very much. Reports 5931 and 5932. I believe that Mr. Prescott, you're on.
Yes, and before Mr. Prescott speaks, I know that there were some concerns relative to the numbers that were adopted in the initial budget. Please be mindful that these items that Mr. Prescott will present this evening will come directly from grant dollars, therefore not impact our general budget in any way, shape, or form, other than we would have to pay for these items on the front end and then receive reimbursement. However, they have been written into a federal grant, which has been approved.
Do I need to move Ron up as well? Or no?
No. Mr. Prescott?
Nope.
Okay.
All right, good evening, board. As we look at these two items, and as we look at the effects of going remote and hybrid and back to in-person and potentially back and forth, the need for the staff and students to have the necessary equipment to be able to make that transition as seamless as possible is obviously of paramount importance. So the first report is a purchase from CDW in the amount of $57,000, and that would provide a mobile document camera for every staff member. We found the need for those to be great, especially in the remote environment, having the ability to be able to show the students instructional materials, either in a live lesson or a recorded lesson, has become quite necessary. So that would be the first portion of the purchase. Are there any questions about that one before I move on to the next?
Just question here, Board President.
Yes, Trustee Rice, please proceed.
So is that to indicate that the existing equipment that we have currently does not include the camera with the laptops?
So laptops have a built-in webcam. A
Right.
document camera is a separate device that typically plugs in, that you connect to the laptop, and it's raised up, and you can show, you can put, a document or, any other material, textbook or whatever, underneath that camera and be able to display it for the students.
That's actually awesome. And once again, it took till my last meeting to hear that, because I wanted that for the board office, the board room, because sometimes we would have things that we were looking at and the community couldn't see that. And I was thinking, it used to be called an ELMO. Apparently document camera is the 2020 term. So hopefully there's one for the boardroom.
Yep, and Elmo is a type of document
I was
camera.
gonna say, if you said Elmo, yeah, of course, everyone knows what Elmo is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elmo is the manufacturer of a document camera.
So, and just to be clear, I don't believe Elmo is the brand that we're purchasing. Those are more suited for stationary use and not as mobile as we would like to be able to have them.
Got it. Thanks, Levis.
Any other questions or comments on document cameras, trustees? And I know before Mr. Prescott goes to the next one, technology is my thing and deal with these items every day. I will want the board to just think about possibly entertaining moving on these items as action items, because I can tell you there's been a lot of backlog and delay in ordering equipment.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Prescott, first of all, why are you blue on camera?
Sorry, I've got a light in the background behind me, and when I turn it on, it's too bright.
Okay.
I don't have one in front of me.
Okay, secondly, my question is Dr. Green. Will the Board of Education be compensating us for some of these cameras that we without COVID-19 we would not be utilizing? Are we going to get any kind of compensation for any of this mobile equipment that we're using due to COVID?
I need clarification on the question. You're asking if the Board of Education will be compensating? You are the Board of Education.
The state of Michigan, but I meant state, I'm sorry.
These are grant dollars. One of the grants that we did receive was relative to equity. So the CARES dollars came to the state and some came to the local districts. There is a portion of the state dollars that is coming to the district for closing the gap relative to technology. That is why we are asking for these items at this time.
Okay, they're grant dollars, so that's okay. I missed that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Both of the items that Mr. Prescott presents will be from grant dollars. They are not impacting our general fund.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions on the document cameras? Anyone? Hearing none, Mr. Prescott.
All right, thank you. So the next item is for laptops, docking stations, and monitors for every teacher. So one of the things that we have found, obviously during this pandemic, is the need for the teaching staff to be able to be mobile, to transition from in-person learning to remote learning and back again in as seamless a manner as possible. So this would be purchasing a laptop, a docking station, and a monitor for every teacher. It would replace their current desktop that's in their classroom when that is scheduled to be replaced as part of our capital refresh plan, which would have been this summer anyway. So we're really, because we need to be in this, have flexibility in this environment, we're proposing that we purchase them a mobile device. The other part of that purchase is 4,795 Chromebooks for student use. Again, as students transition back and forth, and we try to, even in person, try to supply staff and students with the technology needed to extend learning beyond the classroom. The addition of these Chromebooks will help make that a reality. We do currently have a large number of Chromebooks in the district. Quite a few of them were purchased in an initial wave about 5.5 years ago. So this is going to replace some of those, as well as provide some additional for student use. Are there any questions on either of those?
Board President, if I can just add before trustees ask questions, it's important to really emphasize what Mr. Prescott shared, in that these dollars were not in our initial general fund budget for this year. We now have an opportunity to move forward with replenishing all of our technology for our instructional staff via grant dollars, and it will save us during next year's general fund budget, because it was a part of our 5-year technology replacement plan that the teachers received new desktops. However, this pandemic has shed light on the need for us to have mobile stations. Grant dollars are available, so we'll be able to provide the teaching staff and the administrators with what they need now and save the district funding later, when we were initially scheduled to upgrade the desktops in all of our classrooms. So it's a win-win on both ends of the spectrum.
Okay. Trustees, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
If the board is looking for a motion, I'm prepared.
Oh, sure. Trustees, do you have any questions? All right, Trustee Charles, please.
I'd like to move that we open and approve report 5931 and 5932.
Support. It's been properly moved and seconded to open and approve reports 5931 and 2. Any additional questions or comments, trustees? Hearing none, please call for the vote, Board Secretary.
Trustee Poole?
He said yes.
Okay. Trustee Rice?
Yes.
Trustee Charles?
Yes.
Trustee Joyce?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Trustee Hicks?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Motion
Thank you.
carried. Thank you, sir. Bill distribution report, or I'm sorry, disbursement report.
Mr. Ingram?
Good evening.
Ms. Norris, are you able to pull up that report?
Yes, sorry, my computer froze briefly. I have it now.
Thank you.
Good evening once again. We had 2 payrolls in the month of November for a total of 2.8 million. We had accounts payable of 3 million. We had 1.3 million in payments by wire or ACH for a total disbursement of 7.2 million in the month of November. Any questions? Have a nice evening.
Thank you, sir.
That is all for administration, Board President. Thank you.
Thank you. Public participation. If you wish to address the board regarding a school-related issue that has not yet been resolved by school administration, please raise your hand so you may share your comment. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. As a matter of fairness, speakers with complaints against individuals are asked not to mention persons by name. Complaints concerning employees pursuant to Board Policy 9130 should be brought to the attention of school principals or other administrators before coming to the Board of Education. Your cooperation is appreciated. Ms. Bland. Oh, I'm sorry. You may
Okay.
want to start over.
There we go. Good evening to the members of the board, Dr. Green, members of the community. I just wanted to say I look forward to serving on this board with all of you. I'd also like to just give a little moment of gratitude to President Hicks, Vice President Joyce, Trustee Charles, and Trustee Smith Thomas. Thank you so much for being so welcoming, answering my questions. And also Dr. Green, who I know is extremely busy, always has the time to answer any questions that I've had about the district, the board, policy or otherwise. I like to say that I look forward to nurturing a culture of positivity, being a servant leader to the Lathrop Village and Southfield community, and working with all of you. So thank you.
So no, the feeling is mutual. Community, I just want to let you know that the same enthusiasm that you just heard from Trustee-elect Bland, she's kind of jumped both feet in. She's already been participating in with coursework with MASB. She's presented a variety of good questions to us, and I just appreciate her energy and her trying to make sure that she's aware of all the things that trustees have to consider and to learn, especially new trustees. So we appreciate you and look forward to future collaboration.
Thank you.
Ms. Slate.
Good evening, everyone. I just had a quick question as I was looking at the Dr. Green's evaluation. I joined a little late, so I don't know if I missed this part of it. I noticed that I didn't see a student data included, and like I said, I joined late, so I could be incorrect. And if it's not included in her evaluation, I guess my question would be why? Because if teachers are being held accountable for student data, shouldn't we all be held accountable for student data? So I just had that quick question about that. So again, like I said, I came in late, so if I'm incorrect, please correct me.
Thank you, Mrs. Slate. Mrs. Sanford, I'm sorry, I see a dash. I can't see the hyphen after the hyphen, but Mrs. Crystal Sanford.
Yeah, it's Crystal Sanford Brown. Hello, good evening, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Please proceed, ma'am.
I wanted to first commend you for taking the effort to do the board to do something about the vaping. That is critical, and I applaud you all for taking the effort to go forward with that. I had no idea it had gotten to the elementary level, so I applaud you for taking that action. But I wanted to, as a member of the Policy Council at Bussey, just wanted to share that Bussey has made some innovative actions as I really want to see diversity, equity, and inclusion within everything that's done within the school district. And what they've done is taken informational videos and placed them on a Google Drive for families to view to receive in-kind hours with additional documentation. And so that just brings me back to last month when I asked about the professional development for the instructors, and Mrs. English stated that there was going to be some changes due to COVID, and Dr. Green was going to get back with me on email. And I don't know if perhaps maybe I missed it, but I don't think I've received anything yet.
Okay, so Ms. Sanford Brown, I will make sure that that's followed up and that you are responded to. Going back to Mrs. Slade, one of the things that happened in a prior board meeting related to the growth or the data for student growth, they gave some recommendations based on COVID. And I don't believe all teachers are being held accountable for that in their evaluations this year. But I'll make sure that you get a more formal response back to your inquiry, pointing to the information that Scott Corba, who is the person that is the administrator or who's helping guide us through the evaluation process for the superintendent, and we'll get you a more formal response. But it was discussed at the last meeting. I don't see any additional public participation at this time. Is there any? I'm sorry.
Board President? Yes, not to respond directly to the comments, and I'll ask this question to both you and Dr. Green if it would be appropriate. I'm not sure if you mentioned it before, Dr. Green, in any of your legislation updates regarding the advocacy for removing the student growth data for the teacher evaluation this year and some of the efforts that are taking place.
So, Board President, if I may respond to Trustee Leslie Love Thomas, Smith Thomas, the legislation that impacted teachers last year, the student growth measure was not taken into account from last year. What is different between the superintendent and that of the teacher evaluations and administrator evaluations is that theirs goes from July 1 to June 30. As superintendent, it goes from January 1 to December 30. So it's a different time period. So the student growth that would be incorporated into the superintendent's evaluation is actually that of the student growth from the last academic year, having ended June 30th. Now, the legislature did not suspend superintendent having that component in their evaluation, but the teachers did have theirs suspended unless you were probationary and or on an IDP. Having said that, Mr. Corba, as board president mentioned, did address how we can still have that factored in to the superintendent's evaluation from the teachers that were evaluated last year with those growth measures. So all of the teachers that did receive evaluations with the student growth measures last year will be factored into that of the superintendent's evaluation for this year. Now, this year, where we are currently, if the legislature suspends teachers' student evaluation or student growth for this year, then that will be taken into account for next December, because the superintendents are always 6 months behind everyone else because their evaluation builds on that of their team.
Thank you, Dr. Green. Any additional questions from trustees? All right, hearing none, for the good of the order, does anyone have anything for the good of the order?
I just have words of encouragement for Trustee Robinson and Trustee Poole. Trustee Poole, being a very personal friend, I look forward to continuing to engage with you after your service. But my words of encouragement are simply to, as an educator, thank you for your board service. We may not have always agreed and have the same points of view, but you have shown up. You have dedicated numbers of years of your life to serve our children, and I will always applaud that. And so I just want to encourage you in your next journey moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to speak, and go ahead, Poole.
I just said I work in education, so I just want to explain. Thank you, reach out to me.
Trustee Charles.
Yeah, I don't know if you have presenter permission or Laura. Laura, I thought I sent this earlier. It's a one
I can make you presenter.
Okay. Let's see here.
You should be all set, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. And I just want to pull this up ever so quickly. So to the point that Trustee Smith Thomas elevated.
Are you sharing? Oh yeah, here it comes. Here it comes.
Yeah, I think that's the right. I think I'm showing my whole screen. I'll just make this bigger. See my junky desktop. But anyway, I think you can see this. I just grabbed a couple of photos that I felt, were really kind of take me back to the beginning. And that was my first graduation as a trustee there on the right. And, those faces that you see there have made such an impact on me as a human being, as a professional, but really as an educator away from the classroom. And I just look at every one of those faces. There's some central office folks in there, some principals that we've seen come through our district, as well as some board members there. And all I can say is I didn't know anything in these pictures as much as I certainly do now. That other picture is my first retreat. And that's why, retreats are some of my favorite parts about board service, because you get a chance to really engage with your colleagues. They're grueling, and you usually leave with information overload, and it takes you 2 days to recuperate. But it's so valuable and so warranted. And then lastly, it's just a shout out to Fern Katz, who is someone who, took me under her wing. I admired her. She was the oldest on the board. I was the youngest on the board at the time. And she is certainly a model trustee. And so, as most of you know, I ran as a write-in, 104 votes. I've been telling y'all for 10 years, I got in this door with 104 blessed votes. And through that, it's been an honor and a privilege and a joy to represent my favorite school district of all time. My blood still bleeds Blue Jay blue, but you guys forced me to love Lathrop. So, now they're all one. So it's all full circle. And I just want to thank,
I ain't there yet.
Thank all of the trustees I've served with over the years, Trustee Poole and Robinson, who are my elders on the board, and to Amani and Ashanti. I am so encouraged and so excited for the future on that. So this is my final school board meeting, and I'm so glad I'm not tearing up, because I was like, how am I going to feel? But I'm not going far. I love you guys. Dr. Green, I can't thank you enough for what you're doing for our young people and for our district.
Thank you. I'm tearing up over here, so I'm gonna turn my camera back off.
So one thing that we say, as a fellow Blue Jay alum, is Blue Jays fly and soar. So we thank you for your service, and we hope that you soar and continue to achieve in your new role as a Oakland County Commissioner elect. What the community may or may not know is that Trustee Charles has tendered her resignation of the board as she's moving on to her new role for the county. And she's provided service and dedication, and she could have easily just transitioned into her other role, but she felt compelled and passionate about education, where she continued her learning, even as she mentioned this past weekend. So that just shows her dedication to the district and to continually growing as a person. So I know, me personally, I wish you, and I believe the rest of the board echoes the sentiment, that we wish you continued, success and achievement. We know that we have a friend over in Oakland County looking out for our best interests, and that we hope that we can support you, as we know that you will continue to support us. So I'm going to pause and let any other trustees that may want to say anything at this time for the good of the order, or to wish well Trustee Charles.
Yes, I would like to to say to Mrs. Robinson, thank you so much for your service. I really enjoyed our growth together and learning, and I learned a lot from you. And I thank you also, Mr. Poole. And Yolanda Smith Charles, you as well. So I thank all of you, and God bless you all.
I'm sorry, were you saying something, Trustee Robinson?
Yes, I said, let me unmute. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just said good luck to Yolanda in her new endeavor. And Mr. Poole, you will be missed.
Thank you. Board, I did have one thing, as we just spoke at a high level, that Trustee Charles is vacating her seat, which was scheduled to end in 2022. Per our board bylaw 142.5, when there's a vacancy, the board has 30 days from the time of the vacancy to appoint a new replacement for a trustee. And again, that was bylaw 142.5. And doing so, that doesn't leave the board a lot of time because, in December, the district shuts down and, we get into holiday mode. And then effective 1/1 is when Trustee Charles's her resignation goes into effect. So within that 30 days, the board has to determine, a few things. And let me share my screen that shows the bylaw just to make sure we are all aligned. And let me know if you all see my screen and if I need to make anything bigger. I know it hasn't shown up yet. Do you all see my screen? Okay, so per our bylaw, the board shall seek qualified and interested candidates from the community through the news media, word of mouth, and contacts with appropriate organizations. All applicants are to submit a notice of interest in writing to the president of the board. The board shall interview all interested candidates to ascertain their qualifications. And then an appointment by the board to fill a vacancy shall be by majority vote of the full board. So in order to execute this bylaw, I did reach out to previous, board members regarding what happened when this happened prior to now. And so based on that discussion, I've come up with a proposed timeline for the board's consideration and input. Today the vacancy was announced to appoint a trustee beginning effective 1/1 of 2021. So in order for us to align and comply with the bylaw, what I'm recommending is that we submit an ad to the Southfield Sun and post on the website to support the promotion of this to the news. On the 10th, we will have an application that will be made available on the district's website where interested candidates can fill out and submit their interest as well as fill out the application. We will then give on the 18th as the due date for those applications to be turned in by 5 p.m. Beginning January 3rd, we would conduct a application review of all of the applications received as a board. We will then identify who will be interviewed on the 4th of January. And then on the 5th, 6th, and/or 7th, if all dates are required, the board will conduct interviews with those who've made the first pass review process. And depending on how many days it takes to conduct the interviews, a vote will then be done to select from, the trustee that will be replacing or filling the open seat. The goal would be to then have a swearing in of the new trustee, preferably before the 8th. And the reason why I say so is that one of the other bylaws that the board is required to comply to is to have an organizational meeting prior to the first board meeting of the year. And in this case, with this timeline, we kind of back into having that person available, identified, selected, sworn in, and to participate in the first meeting of the year. Again, this was a proposed timeline, and I'm looking to the board to give any feedback related to the timeline.
Board President,
Ma'am.
would this also include, I see number 11, swear in the new trustee. I'm assuming that's the person who would be voted on for appointment here, but is it also for our new trustee elects coming in on the same date and time?
Yeah, so what technically, I mean, I had to think about this. When you and I first became trustees, technically we were sworn in before the public swearing in, when we had to, submit our information to the state. Our current trustees elects have already done so. We will want to have a public ceremony swearing in for the our two trustee elects. But to your point, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with trying to do all three at the same time for the public ceremony. And Dr. Green is looking at ways that we can accommodate that, because the one disadvantage that they have moreover than us is that we had an opportunity to have our families and friends see us physically get sworn in. Well, with the current world that we're living in, we have to come up with some way to still give them that same process, before the public. But so short answer is, I'm open to whatever the board's pleasure is on how we conduct the swearing in of the appointed trustee and the elected trustees.
Board President, if I may, one of the things we must consider is that of the recommendations of the CDC. Of course, the governor's now no longer executive order, but the Department of Health and Human Services epidemic orders, because we must always be in compliance with those items. One thing we discussed was that of having the individual come at a separate time with their family, or just two members, and keeping it compliant with less than 10, have it recorded, and then streaming it during the January meeting. Of course, you did touch upon the fact that they've already come in. Jolene Davis, who is a notary as well as a licensed attorney in the state of Michigan, did swear them in. So all of their paperwork is on file with the Elections Commission. So they are effective January 1st.
Any other questions or feedback on the proposed timeline, trustees?
Question to Yolanda. How many years are left on her membership as a board?
2 years, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Any other feedback?
In your posting, I'm sure it is, but just for clarification, there'll be requirements as far as eligibility.
Oh yeah, yes. There are definite clear qualifications and requirements that will be listed in the posting, as well as on the website, to make sure that folks, I mean, for example, you have to be of a certain age, you have to live within the district, you have to be a registered voter. There's a variety of things that are required to even be considered. And all that is spelled out clearly on the application and will be placed on the website as well.
Okay, I haven't seen it, but as you guys are reviewing it, sometimes people think if you live in Southfield, you are eligible. but it's a lot more fine-tuned in that, with certain streets and whatnot. So hopefully that's clear.
Yes, ma'am. And I will send it to all board trustees so that you can give feedback.
And Board President, if memory serves me correctly, I believe we also added in there some form of background check.
Correct.
No, I remember that. I remember that conversation, and I remember that was the pleasure of the board. I echo and agree with that sentiment. I'm just trying to think, did we put that as a bylaw, or was that more of a board? I can't remember.
If I
That has always been
if I may, it was a topic. It was a topic of discussion, but it was never voted on to make it a part of the requirements. The announcement that you're referencing has been vetted by legal counsel, the elections division, as well as Oakland Schools. We worked very closely with Dr. Cook Robinson as she is in the process of helping other districts to fill vacancies at this present time.
But in the past, Mr. Hicks, we've always had our employees vetted. We had a background check on all of us that was on the board prior to you guys joining. Each board member, and Michael Poole can attest to this, we were vetted by Southfield Police.
Oh, I'm not opposed to it. I'm definitely not opposed to it. I just didn't know if we had anything formally documenting it, but we can definitely include that. That's absolutely possible.
And Board President, as well as other trustees, the Southfield Police Department has suspended their service to providing background checks at this present time. However, for Southfield Public Schools, given our strong partnership, they are taking into account those that we recommend to go over for background checks. So if that is the pleasure of the board, I will work with Chief Barron on making that happen.
Absolutely.
Okay, will do. So if there's no opposition, we will proceed with the timeline as written unless there's any revisions or input from trustees.
Just Board President, another comment here. Candidate
Sure.
application review, does that suggest that the board needs to have meetings on the 3rd and the 5th or 6th or 7th?
So I think yes. So on the 3rd, we would definitely, what has to happen is all applications have to be presented on the 18th. We would then submit all of those to the board for review. And then we're going to go through a first pass, similarly as we did with the superintendent search, where we were presented all applications and then we narrowed it down for ones that we wanted to interview and consider. On the 4th, we would narrow that down to who we want to interview and then allow those folk to come in before the board to have that second pass, if you will, for us to ask our questions.
I have a question, Board President. Why are we
Board President
names of the applicants, the candidates?
Oh, I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Why are we removing the names of the applicants? I don't recall that being a part of the process in the past. Or recommended MASB unless something's been updated.
What?
No, Trustee Smith Thomas is correct.
When I went through this process, my name was submitted publicly to the board at the time, as well as Trustee Joyce. I'm asking, why are we removing the names of the candidates? If that's something new?
The only reason why was I was echoing the superintendent search process. So you remember when the folk who initially applied,
Right.
We gave the numbers.
Right. I know that process as it relates to superintendent, and that has other legal standing.
Yeah.
But these are candidates seeking public elected office. or appointed office. And to my understanding, MASB doesn't include removing their names as a part of that process. It certainly wasn't a part of the process when Trustee Joyce and I applied for appointment during our election year. And in the information that I have and have reviewed from MASB, I don't see this as a part of the process.
No, I'm cool. It was just a suggestion. That's why I listed it as proposed. I was looking for feedback from you all on how we execute this.
Yeah, Trustee Smith is accurate in that. And, these are open meetings and things of that nature.
Okay. So we will definitely not, we won't have that as part of the process.
And I would just like to say, because we're speaking of it publicly, this is more for the community. One of the benefits, particularly for myself, is seeing is I followed very closely all of the candidates who ran during this past election, and I certainly would like to see if some of those candidates submit their names for appointment, in addition to any other community members. Because that is, as we're the board making the vote, we would have the opportunity to either recall information we learned about those candidates during the time of their election. So I think it would be very beneficial for myself in making that decision.
Okay, makes sense. Any other feedback?
Board President.
Ma'am.
I have a question to ensure that I understand correctly and that our team can help the trustees facilitate this process. On the 3rd, which was a Sunday, there will not be a meeting. However, there will be information disseminated to the trustees relative to the application or the applicants for their individual review. Then on the 4th, there will be a meeting for you all to discuss it, and then those interested could potentially be interviewed the 5th, 6th, or 7th. Is that a correct understanding of your timeline?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Also, not regarding the timeline, but also I want our community to know that we are having another power hour on the 16th of December at 6 p.m. Dealing with overcoming the woes of COVID-19 and the holiday blues. I didn't want us to forget to acknowledge that.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the order? Hearing none.
I'm sorry. I did. I'm sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
I've spoken this personally to my dear, I feel very comfortable saying friend, Trustee Charles. And so I just want to say it publicly because I did give words of encouragement to Trustee Robinson and Trustee Poole. But Trustee Charles knows that I have grown to see her as a friend. And also as an ally, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what she's going to do at the county level. I'm looking forward to her being my county commissioner, and really continuing to be an advocate for public education. So kudos to you. And I will see you around. I'm not saying goodbye.
Anything else for the good of the order?
Since you put that plug out there for the applicants, I was looking at the map. I shared it with you, Board President, and a couple other people on the board. But I know if I lived on the west side of Southfield, I may feel some type of way that there's not much representation for those West Siders. So, if you live on the west side of Southfield and you're considering putting in your application, that'd be awesome.
Cool. Future meetings. Tuesday, January 15th, a special board meeting to finalize the superintendent evaluation.
Board President.
That will be the last
December
meeting.
15th or January 15th?
December 15th. Did I say January?
Yes, sir.
Oh, December 15th. Please forgive me. December 15th. So see you all here next Tuesday.
I'm sorry, Board President. I just want to, I want to be clear on what you are expecting of us. You're going to send out the tool. We're going to provide you with feedback by this Friday and then come together to discuss on the 15th.
Correct.
Okay, so you want us to come on the 15th, already having submitted our tool back?
Yeah, because what I want to do, like I've done last year and the year before, was to provide the matrix on how we all voted as trustees. And then, you know, even though we still have to give our verbal assessments, at least we can have it on screen as well as we present that information. At least so we can come to somewhat consensus prior to that meeting, and it'll help drive our discussion on Tuesday. So trustees, if it's easier for you to just send me component by component how you assess Dr. Green, and then I can just put it into the spreadsheet. Or if it's easy for you to scan in, you know, the sheet after printing it, after you fill it out, I'll accept it however is most convenient for you. So with that being said, you all please continue to be safe, and we'll talk again on the 15th of December. Thanks all. Good night.
All right. Good night,
Good
all.
evening, all.